Hey guys, what's going on? It's Kyle. Just doing a quick installation video of my buddy Mercier's Evo. We're just installing Eibach springs onto his stock suspension right now. On the Evo, it's Eibach springs to begin with, but this is just a lower spring. So what I pointed to just a second ago was that arrow on the top bolt on the front spring suspension system. Make sure that that is pointing in the same direction when you're done with the suspension as when you started. This is just one of the main things that I pointed out. So from there you just loosen it off. You can take the brake harness out like so. I just figured a flat tip screwdriver is easy enough to push down the tabs, take the tube out, and you remove it. Just slide the flat tip screwdriver underneath and unclip it from the two holes on either side of the suspension. Take that off and finish unbolting the rest of the suspension. But before you do that, a good thing there, using a 10mm wrench, unbolt the brake line harness that's attached to the back of the strut. Once you do that, tap out the bolts like so, and remove the suspension. I found that it was easier if you loosened off the nuts holding on the suspension at the strut mount, just to make it easier to maneuver the whole assembly. So now that the assembly is out, this is not the way to take it off. This is my way. This was my third set doing it, so I was kind of confident I knew how much pressure the front mounts were under. So you use a 17mm socket to take off the tension, and you normally use like a spring tensioner, so that you're not sitting there with a loaded spring like I am there. And this is not how to untension a spring properly. If you could see, the top mount actually flew way over to where I'm walking now. So that is not the safe way of doing it. That was just a quick and easy way. So once you have that, then you put obviously the aftermarket spring on and torque it down. I'm not sure the exact torque specs. We were kind of in a rush, and we just quickly torqued it on with an impact wrench. From there, you basically do everything in reverse. So when you put the suspension back on, you put it up, put a couple threads on the top of the nut, and then you put the brake line harness on the strut, and then you put the bolts in the strut mount like so, and make sure again that the bolt on top has that arrow facing inwards or whichever direction that it was facing when you first started. That was the only thing that you really got to pay attention to on the front mounts, and it's pretty simple after that. I believe it was two 17mm sockets and the 17mm wrench that I used on the front mounts just to undo those bolts. After that, replace the clip, put the hose back on, and I just finished putting it on at the end. That way the brake line was not moving around when I was trying to move around the strut.
Hey guys, Chuck here, just going to show you the couple little bolts inside the back of the Evo. So you got the one right here, and one in behind, which is a pain in the butt to get at.
Alright, so now that we're at the back, we've loosened off the mounts in the trunk. Obviously we've gutted the trunk out so we can get to it, from our little narration from my roommate. So we only have one thing to do back here, and that's to take off the one bolt that I'm doing so now. No parts can get mixed up at the back. It's impossible for it to happen like that. So you take off that steel bar there that I just let fall down, let that slide away, and then the only thing that's left is the actual suspension itself. The only thing about the rear suspension is that it's under a lot more pressure than the front, so do not do what I did with the front one and just try and take it off with your hands, because your fingers will just rip off, and you'll probably get hit with the top of the assembly. So make sure that you use a spring compressor like we're doing here, and take the tension off in order to change out the springs. that is the only special thing really that has to do with the rear. That's the only time consuming part, which doesn't take that long. Once that's all together, put it back on, put the suspension back together in the rear, and tighten it up. Put some anti-seize on the bolt itself, slide it on there, and you're good to go. Again, be safe when you're doing this stuff. Don't do what I did, and make sure that you're not aiming it at anyone, because you can really hurt somebody with this stuff. Other than that, guys, thanks for watching. Stay safe, and like and subscribe. Cheers.